Reefapalooza. I am going to be at Reefapalooza in New York, June 21st through the 23rd. If you're going to be there, please let me know in the comments down below. And you won't believe what else I've been working on in the background. I'm so stoked about this, guys. What? Check that out. This is the first one. I'm going to end up getting a couple more on order. Once I settle on one of these that I like, I am also going to be giving out 10 of these for free at Reefapalooza in New York. So if you would like one, all you have to do is hit that subscribe, that like button, and comment. And when you see me walking around, I won't be hard to miss because I'll have one of these on. Let me know. Show me that you liked, comment, and subscribed. And then I'm going to pull this out of my bag and say, here you go. Alright, so in today's video, we are going to do a tour at Aquatics Galore, which is a local fish store here in Dayton, Ohio. So let's go ahead and get into the video.
How we doing, guys? I'm Brandon. This is our pond at the front. We actually installed this probably about 8 years ago. Has some pretty good sized koi in it. And then at the end of pond season, any we have in our little vats or tanks we throw in here, just let them grow up. We did get a little flood on the floor. Some valves were left on overnight. Always fun. If you're coming to a fish store, you should probably always expect to get a little wet. This is a little pond system we have. Have a net over top of it because koi will jump. And then over here we have our plants and a little look down area. And then turtles. Then we got feeders and goldfish, shrimp, different inverts, crabs. Some nice parrotfish. So these are all captive bred, tank raised clownfish. We have them in here with some hermits and some anemones. These guys never get sick. We will only order from one supplier for clownfish, for sure.
Ooh, is that a lionfish? It's a baby lionfish. Now for the purple tanks, do you find that the purple tanks can be semi-aggressive? Is that why he's by himself?
They can be semi-aggressive, yeah.
Now, curious, do you find purple tanks to be an expert level fish? The reason I ask that is because on a couple of sites that they sell them on, they mark them as expert.
For me, purple tanks are very easy to get to eat. They're very hardy, very healthy. I mean, it's a zebrasoma. I mean, zebrasoma fish are so hardy, it's ridiculous. They can be aggressive. They are more susceptible to get ick than a lot of your other zebrasomas. So that might be why they would be put on a little bit higher list on care level. But as far as finicky eaters, that guy will eat anything I put in the tank. There we go.
I was going to say, I put mine in quarantine and threw some copper.
Yeah, let's see this guy eat here.
Threw some copper power in it. And yeah, he's going after everything. That's exactly what my purple tank at home does.
Alright, I turned the invert lights on.
Here we got some damsels, inverts.
Let's show you guys why they are called zombie snails. Down in this tank here, if I drop them, you'll see little snouts sticking out of the tank. And then if I drop in food, these guys are going to start to emerge. You can watch them just crawl right out of the sand bed. So they're really good for any aquarium to catch any excess food that hits the bottom.
Yep, right there, they just popped right out.
I don't know how they sense it so well, but they know when something hits the bottom of the sand bed and they're going to come out and eat it. Then we got some shrimp over here, sand sifting shrimp. These guys are pretty awesome. Let's see if we can get them going crazy for some food here.
He's after it. Now, for these sand shifting shrimp, is there any cause of concern? Like, would they get along with cleaner shrimp just fine?
They are something we've just recently started stocking, so we haven't done enough experimenting yet to really be able to say one way or the other. These hi-hats, you want to watch these guys eat too. These guys are pigs. They just start smacking the bottom to pick up any and everything that they can. Little vacuum cleaners.
Now, do you have any coral banded shrimp? Yep. So, would you say that guy's reef safe? They've got
just about anything out there that's reef safe, you will hear plenty of other people saying that they're not reef safe. Emerald crabs, people have watched eat their coral. Peppermint shrimp, people have watched eat their coral. About the only shrimp out there that nobody's ever complained about that is a cleaner shrimp. But I've never personally had a coral banded shrimp mess with my coral.
Yeah, I was going to say, I say the same thing too, but everywhere it seems like these guys have a bad rap, because I've got one in my 300 that's about 3 or 4 times this size, and he doesn't touch anything.
Now, I've heard of them killing cleaner shrimp in a smaller tank, though.
Yeah,
in larger tanks, if they have enough room to stay away from each other, they're not going to mess with each other.
Those two guys hang out with each other.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, they're typically almost always on the same rock. Now, I wouldn't say, ooh, what are these guys?
The flame scallops, those guys are massive too. We've never gotten them in that large.
Now, typically, what do they eat?
And then there's an electric one over here. I don't know if you can zoom in on his. They're filter feeders. They're going to feed on zooplanktons and phytoplanktons in the water column. All right, guys. So if you've never seen cleaner or peppermint shrimp, cleaner shrimp, all the above, really. These peppermint shrimp will clean any and everything that comes into the aquarium, even your hand. Now, these are the peppermint shrimp. They're not really for cleaning your fish because they're a little bit more aggressive. You can actually feel them plucking pretty hard on you, whereas cleaner shrimp are going to be a lot more gentle. And your cleaner shrimp will set up car washes in the aquarium, and shrimp or fish would just come over to the car wash to get cleaned by the cleaner shrimp. These guys are very aggressive and very good at cleaning. They are also really good for Aptasia and Majano, which are definitely some pests you do not want in your aquarium, which is why we recommend peppermint shrimp in any reef. But you will hear people say that they've watched them eat their coral.
Now, was that an engineer goby?
There are engineer gobies. He floats all throughout here. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought I saw one behind that.
Yep, right there.
Those guys are really, really cool, man. You want something that looks like an eel, but don't want to put an eel in your tank.
Another really cool thing are your brittle starfish. That guy's been ripped apart by something. If they get an arm or limb stuck in a rock, they will literally just drop it, like this guy must have. He must have been stuck a few times. The limbs will regrow. They grow back really small and pretty slow, but they are super hardy. And the limbs themselves won't regrow a starfish. The starfish has to have the mouth, but if they have an intact mouth, they're going to reheal. So we got a long spine urchin in here that's definitely got me a couple times. One time, luckily, I didn't get any of its spines in my hand, but the first time, I even was looking at him.
Now, is that an urchin?
That's an urchin.
Okay.
Yep. Long spine urchin, and then you got your little cotton candy urchin, and then your pencil urchins.
Nice.
They're really good for the hard algae. They're actually pretty good at cleaning that off.
What are you using for lighting up here? It's either Kessel or those.
Kessel. Those are the older 360 WEs.
Oh, really? I still haven't found a light to replace that shimmer from Kessel, man. I love my Ecotex, and I won't give up my Ecotex for anything. There's a little bit of shimmer with my XR30s, but it's definitely not Ecotech.
You get a lot better par with Ecotech, though.
Yes.
Ecotech has a lot better par, but Kessel just has the shimmer that everybody loves. They don't have the par. You really have to play around with spacing them out. We get these little guys that like to escape, so they're still alive. They've just crawled out overnight. You'll find them all over the tanks. That is one downfall of a rimless aquarium.
All right, so in here we have some bigger Euphilia. You know, let's take a look at that framer again that you.
So let's find one of those guys. I think that's just a hammer that has some separating tips.
Yeah. Now, do you guys have Octospawn by chance?
Here we go. Yeah. This is one here. He's just not open yet since the lights just came on, but you can see a lot of different tentacles on each, or a lot of different heads on each tentacle, which is what makes it a framer. Some are elongated, and then some are going to be rounded, and some tentacles have more than one head. So a framer, each tentacle is only going to have one elongated head.
He's got his sweeper tentacle out. Now you said you had Octospawn too, right?
So Yayamensis, Australian frog spawn.
Yeah. So a friend of mine has Octospawn, and those are actually really hard to find. Believe it or not. I've looked for smaller specimens of it, and because I've got a frog spawn in my tank, and I'm just like, I can't bring myself to spin that when I can get the frog spawn for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like they're the same thing, but the color variety of Octospawn is just
got a
awesome.
Biota yellow tang here that we got from a customer. He had a really bad head and lateral line. We've been bringing them back. They just aren't as colorful as the wild ones. You can definitely spot a biota versus a wild yellow tang.
So I see you have a bigger tang, bigger trigger here. What kind of trigger is that?
A huma huma.
A huma huma?
Yep.
What kind of fox face is that?
That is a magnificent fox face.
Okay.
So the pictures of a lot of things always make it look better, and the pictures of this guy definitely makes it look better. In the pictures you'll see a lot more red in the top, and that's ideally how you want them to look, but this is actually how they look. These guys are real popular too, the flame hawks.
Yeah. Now, what's any difference in the fox faces? Would you say there's a difference in care level from him to him?
Honestly, I haven't noticed any difference in any of the rabbit fish. They are all very hardy. They aren't typically very aggressive. Like, you won't find very many that are very aggressive, but nothing messes with them because of their venomous spines.
Yeah.
So they can really go, like, you always want to create a list of when fish go in your aquarium. You want to start with the least aggressive first, and your most aggressive you always put in last to get everything established in the tank. The rabbit fish you can really put in at any point in time you want, because they're not going to mess with anything, and even if you put them in last, the aggressive stuff that just went in,
you just want to avoid
usually aren't
mixing
going
them
to mess
together.
with them either. They say you can't put rabbit fish together, but I mean, we have two together over here. We got the 2-bar and the Magnificent, and really that would be the worst case scenario, would be to just have two, because then there's two just beating the crap out of each other. And we've actually not had a problem with putting two in and putting multiple in. If they're going to constantly chase each other around, there's several of them to go after, so your odds are even greater with them getting along with having multiples in there. So,
and this is what brought me into the hobby originally, was these guys right here.
there's actually 3 in there. There's 2 back in the rockwood.
This makes seeing these guys make me miss my freshwater days, man. All right, here's a full view of the store.
So we're going to get to that spin test here real soon, guys. We wanted to show you some seahorses, though, real quick. It took me a minute to find these guys. They're just all in this stack we put together here.
Oh, they're hidden in the rocks.
And then one guy hanging out at the top.
Now, typically, what do you feed your seahorses? Are they eating mysis too, or?
So we're feeding them a lot of live right now. I'm actually harvesting that in the back. I could show you what we got going on back there. I'm harvesting pods. Now, for most people, you just want to put pods in your tank and you want to feed it phyto. We suggest adding a bottle of pods at least every other week for about 3 months and feeding your tank live phyto just to get them established in the aquarium. It's best if you have a refugium, put half in the refugium, half in the tank. You don't want to put the other half in the tank until you feed your fish and turn off your lights. And if you have a pipette, to actually shoot it into the rock work to make sure they get safe haven. That's going to be best. We really like making sure you go through the right process to get the pods seeded in the aquarium. That way they keep reproducing for you. For us, we feel pods are the #1 underrated cleanup crew. So we've had people add pods to their reef aquarium forever, and we have people come in with their aggressive tanks wanting to know what they can add to clean it up that the aggressive fish aren't going to eat. And unfortunately, the aggressive fish are going to eat anything you put in there for a cleanup crew, but if you can get something in there that keeps reproducing, that won't be an issue. So this first bucket here is Parvo Calanus pods. Now, we harvest live phyto back here. It's shut down right now. I need to get it set back up. These 2 buckets are Tisbe pods. I'm eventually going to incorporate putting a light over top of it when they get more established and I need more phyto. These 2 are Apocyclops. This one is a mix. I just take some of all of them, throw it in here. I also put my rotifers in here. I normally keep this one a little bit more green, and this is what I go around and I feed all our tanks with. And then I have 4 for tiger pods because they are the best breeder. They're honestly going to get seeded in your aquarium a lot better than all the other ones. So I'm going to stir these pods up here, and then I dump them through my sieve here. And you can actually see them starting to accumulate on here. Yep. And then each scoop is just going to keep adding more and more. Put it in here to keep them in a little bit of water. Yep, you can see those guys swimming around.
Yep.
Now I do 2 different sizes. This one will get the adults. This one will get the juveniles. And then, you know, we just take some of the water out of here that'll have the babies and everything else. So just to make sure that all life stages are being harvested for everybody. All right. I think now we can get on to the spin test, guys. All right, guys, this is API's Aqua Spin here. Now, they have these in saltwater and in freshwater, and there's a different code for each one. They actually have a store brand of this, and there is a brand out there, a different model out there that's good for, that the average hobbyist can buy. And you just switch the chart here for whether it's reading salt or fresh, and then make sure that the disc series code matches up, the Q203.
Now, what all does the spin test for?
So it tests calcium, alkalinity, magnesium, nitrate, nitrite, ammonia, and pH. So there's 8 samples there. This is the same syringe we always use, so I pull some water into it, pull some air into it, shake it up, and just add some humidity to the air. And I like doing that a couple times just to make sure that the sample is as pure as possible. Now, as we're filling this up, I like to spin it around as it goes into each chamber to make sure it's getting all the air out. You don't want any air pockets in it. And then there is a little line here that you're supposed to fill it to. It's clear, so you really can't see it. I fill it a little past that just before it starts to spin through the rest of the chambers here. We'll go ahead and drop that guy in. You put the lid on it because this is a light refraction test. So it's going to actually shoot lasers up in through each chamber, and it's going to bounce back off of this. Oh, actually the lights are here and it's going to go through there. So you want to make sure everything lines up properly. So you got to have that black lens on there or it will not work. I've definitely messed up and forgot to have that on there before. Each one comes with a little moisture packet in the package. So I always throw those back in the case just to help make sure that the machine stays moisture free.
What are the pricing on these aqua spin tests typically?
I think about $2,000.
Oh wow. Probably why a lot of people don't buy them.
Yeah. Now the homeowner version, I think you get for around $1,500.
Okay.
But this commercial one was about $2,000, and then the tests are think about $250 for 50 of them, so $5 a piece.
You said did it test magnesium?
Yep.
Okay, that's awesome for an API test, because I know you can't buy an API magnesium test over the counter.
Absolutely not. Now the alkalinity, I always like converting because nobody ever knows that number. Now, to get a more accurate reading, you'd want the ULR from Hanna, because they'll actually read 0.00. So on the ALK, 146 roughly translates to 8.15. And guys, we can go over what you actually want these levels to read depending on what you have in your aquarium as well, and what I recommend dosing to get it there.
We can do that, yeah.
Yeah, we do know we've done multiple tests against this, and this has been very accurate for us.
Now, as for the phosphate, what would you say the accuracy is on the phosphate? Because with Red Sea on the reef bot, I'm testing around probably about it's 0.005, so it's going 2 decimal points.
Yeah. So that's why we like the ULR. So on all of our tanks here, if we're at 0.0, we're fine. We don't even care if it's at 0.09. If it's at 0.09, it's fine. You know, most things can tolerate that. A lot of your softies and other coral actually like phosphates and nitrates. People actually do dose that. The nitrates being at 9 is great. Magnesium, magnesium's crazy. You know, a lot of things you read online, it'll tell you 950 to 1200. Honestly, 1200 is not a good range to be at. We like keeping it at 1450, and all your experienced hobbyists we talk to, that's where they keep their levels. If you keep your magnesium at 1450, you're going to experience a lot less algae and a lot better coral growth. The magnesium being at 1450 actually helps all the coral absorb all the other things they need out of the water, the nitrates, the phosphates, the calcium, the alkalinity. Alkalinity in a mixed reef, we like keeping more like 9.5. The higher you keep those levels, obviously without getting too high, the more readily available and easier it is for the coral to consume it. Calcium, we try to shoot for around 450. You know, if we get down to 380, 400 in between dosing, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
But having a doser set up and keeping it as close to 450 as possible is going to be your best bet. Now, they say you really don't want to go over 12, like 12 is the threshold. I can tell you I've been at 14 on accident. I mean, it is easy to do. I've been at 14 with no problems, honestly. Like, and then you just stop dosing for a while. And if you keep your calcium a little higher and your magnesium a little higher, it's gonna come back down.
Okay.
And if you're having to regularly dose, going a little over, if you're monitoring it, the problem is if you're not monitoring it and you keep dosing and you're at 14, then you're gonna have an issue.
Yeah.
So, and what I like adding, so people don't realize, like, alkalinity isn't just alkalinity. There's multiple different things that raise your alkalinity. But this actually keeps your pH at 8.4. And it's because this is a little bit harder to consume element that they're using to raise your alkalinity. And then for calcium, I like using the Reef Complete because it also maintains magnesium and strontium.
Yeah.
Something I don't regularly test for, like practically hardly ever test for. So if that's being consumed while your calcium's being consumed, it's a good thing to have something that adds that back in. This is the version we use for that. It's the same thing, the Reef Advantage Calcium with the magnesium and strontium. We just go through a lot more, so we like the powder form. And then for magnesium, I really like the ions, and we have the gallon jug of that for us because we go through a lot of it. But this also maintains strontium and boron. The Reef Complete too, I really like adding the Reef Complete. You put this on a doser, it does add a little bit of magnesium each time. So if you're just testing once a week on your magnesium and fine-tuning it, the Reef Complete really helps with that because it's adding a little bit of magnesium in with it. And then if it drops a little bit each week, then instead of having to have your magnesium on a daily doser, a lot of times you can get away without doing it by using the Reef Complete. I really like the Phosphate E for removing phosphates. It actually is a little too good. I only recommend dosing 25% of what it says every other day versus the full amount daily, especially if you have euphilia. We've definitely had a lot of people lose euphilia due to phosphate E. That's the only thing it could have possibly been. Anything happening overnight is not a good thing. So you can get your phosphates down overnight with phosphate E, but you're definitely going to have some consequences for it.
Anytime when it comes to any kind of nutrients, corals are used to, at least based on my experience, our nutrients kind of go up over time, right?
Yep.
But then when we notice that typically when we find out our nutrients are high, that's like, oh crap, now like our nutrients are high, this is what's causing our bubble algae or this other cyano outbreak. Now, not so much cyano. Cyano is more of a issue that you get after trying to fix something because you shoot your nutrients down too low at once.
Yep.
But it gradually goes up. It's better to gradually take it down because
Correct.
ripping all that out in one go, it's like putting salt on a slug, man. So
Yeah, I actually had a guy, his phosphate was at 3.2, and he got it down to like 1.6 in like a week.
yeah.
Dosing half of what it said every other day. And then about another 10 days later, he had it on our machine at 0.0.
Yeah.
So it still could have been 0.09 or somewhere around there, but it was below 0.0 at least.
All right. I think we've got everything here.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
All right. Thank you.
Definitely appreciate it.
So I thought I'd try this on, and man, this thing is comfortable. All right. Well, guys, I hope you liked today's video. Please don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. If you're also on Discord, please feel free to join my Discord server. Link for that is down in the bottom in the video description. Until the next one, I hope to see you in Reef Palooza. I'm out. Peace.